Tom Bauer just made an announcement that has Meghan Markle absolutely panicking. The investigative biographer who exposed them in his 2022 bestseller Revenge is back. The sequel is called Revenge 2, and this time Tom Bauer says he's got material they can't spin away.
All right, so Revenge was released in July of 2022. Since then, based on polling and media coverage, how would you describe the trajectory of Harry and Meghan's reputations professionally and personally? It feels like they've taken quite a bit of a dive.
Tom Bauer, who has been working on the sequel to Revenge for some time, has secured a big money serialization deal with Rupert Murdoch's News UK, specifically the Times newspaper, but I believe it may also extend to the Sun newspaper too, to reveal the first bombshells from his book, which is expected to further damage the Madam of Montecito.
How desperate was Meghan Markle to be famous? Well, apparently, according to Tom Bauer's book, she basically spent seemingly all her money with the sole goal of intention of finding the right connections and being as famous as humanly possible.
You write in the book, Harry must be nuts. This is one of the text messages his friends were sending around to each other after Meghan's first introduction to Harry's friends in 2017 during a shooting weekend at Sandringham.
I think personally, they've separated their professional lives. But I think what's really a great problem for them now, as of in the last few weeks, is that Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
It certainly brings to light that whole theory of you put a frog in boiling water, it jumps straight out, but if you put a frog in cold water, it will slowly boil to death. And I think a lot of people, whilst myself hasn't actually been really shocked by the revelations because I was aware of, I'd say, most of them.
And so he became hypersensitive and blamed the media for the crashes of his relationships, never thinking that they could have something to do with himself. So he's a very complicated, depressed, unintelligent man who is seeking a role and has got really nobody on whom he could rely, which is in the end where Meghan stepped in. I mean, a needy man met a woman who could help him with his needs. But I do think that when you're mocked so publicly as they've been, their value begins to nosedive pretty quickly. And I don't think they're finding any more sources of income.
He secured a massive serialization deal with News UK, The Times, The Sun, bombshell after bombshell, hitting newsstands week after week. His first book came out when they still had streaming deals and Hollywood defenders. Revenge 2 is coming after everything collapsed, after Spotify fired them, after Netflix flopped, after $23 million in unsold jam. But here's what should terrify Meghan most.
That is the picture Tom Bauer paints in about the first 100 or so pages of his new book about Harry and Meghan. And so guys, I'm gonna just share with you a couple of the insights that I saw and some of the huge warning signs about who Meghan is and her intentions and how really this whole thing with her and Harry will absolutely end in tears.
Tom Bauer isn't just covering the business failures. He's investigating the questions everyone's been asking for years. The yacht years, the Soho House connections, the age discrepancies, the pregnancy controversies. Tom Bauer isn't documenting a fall anymore. This is the autopsy, and there's absolutely nowhere left to hide. If you don't know Tom Bauer, pay attention. This man is called the Witchfinder General of biographers. He's written over 25 unauthorized biographies on some of the most powerful people in Britain. Robert Maxwell, Richard Branson, Tony Blair, Boris Johnson, Simon Cowell, Prince Charles. His method is simple. Find the people his subjects don't want him to talk to. Well, he just found Meghan Markle's perfect match. Too vain, too self-interested, and too unaware of what's coming.
I think it's going to be explosive because Meghan Markle can't control this narrative. Tom Bauer is incredibly well respected. And at the end of the day, we want the truth, and we can't get the truth from the Royal Rota. We can't get the truth from Meghan Markle or Prince Harry. They are pathological liars. They cherry pick what they want to believe or what they want us to believe.
In the end, Tom Bauer doesn't really like most celebrities. He prefers to expose their secrets and watch them squirm under pressure. The truth doesn't always come easily, but Bauer has always had a knack for pulling it out of people. His first book on the Sussexes became an international #1 bestseller, built on 80 sources, deep research, forensic investigation, and sources who had never spoken before. These people finally broke their silence, and Bauer wasn't just listening to gossip. He was diving into records, interviews, and evidence that no one could dispute. That's why Meghan's so worried. Despite her lawyers watching his every move, Tom Bauer was never successfully sued. Why? Because Bauer's not just writing a book to stir up controversy. He's got the documents. Tom Bauer works with real proof, court records, tax filings, and sources who can back up every claim. And here's where it gets even scarier for Meghan. Bauer's Revenge 2 is backed by American legal standards now, which means it's going to be even more explosive than anything before. For Revenge 2, Tom Bauer has traveled extensively to Canada and the United States. He was on the ground at the Invictus Games. He's been building this case for years. In interviews, he said, "I've got a lot of new material already, and I think the whole world wants new insights." The book drops early 2026, and Meghan and Harry have absolutely no control over this narrative. The Sun and the Times didn't do a deal with Tom Bauer for his book on the Beckhams because those two newspapers are essentially in the pockets of the Beckhams. They didn't want to run negative revelations about their star-studded friends. Bauer is fully aware of this, but here's where things get juicy. The Mail didn't bid for Revenge 2 either. Why? Because the Mail's coverage of Harry and Meghan has been so tainted by the ongoing court case that they've lost the ability to properly report on them. But, unlike the Mail, the Times and the Sun are ready to publish it all. Let's talk about the kind of revelation Bauer's going to make this time. February 2023, South Park dropped the Privacy Tour episode. Now, this was a moment that broke the internet, and Tom Bauer was right there to see it all unfold. South Park did what no one in mainstream media was willing to do. They mocked Meghan and Harry for their endless talk about privacy while they practically begged for attention. The South Park episode wasn't just about making fun of them. It reflected the skepticism the entire world had been harboring for years. The episode featured the Prince and Princess of Canada, who desperately want privacy but can't stop telling everyone about their trauma. Sound familiar? But here's where the bombshell dropped. The episode was based on a real video Meghan posted. You know the one where she filmed herself, 9 months pregnant, dancing in a hospital room with Harry awkwardly standing behind her? The whole thing seemed a little off, didn't it? Well, South Park thought so too, and they animated it exactly as it played out in the video. Meghan dancing with that massive bump, only for the bump to suddenly fall off. The internet exploded, TikTok flooded with reenactments, and Respect Our Privacy became a meme, just like that. Meghan thought it was empowering, but the world saw it for what it truly was, an uncomfortable PR stunt that backfired in ways she never imagined. And that's where Tom Bauer steps in. He's been documenting every single moment, watching the Hollywood reaction to the backlash. A studio executive even told Variety, "No one wants that kind of circus." But Bauer knows something even deeper. Satire only works when it reflects what people already believe. And South Park didn't create those suspicions. They animated them. And it doesn't end there. Meghan's pregnancy, the way the bump appeared in different shapes on the same day, the photos showing anatomical impossibilities. Tom Bauer's documenting every single detail of this. The internet's been asking questions for years, and Bauer's about to dig deep enough to find the truth. No more pretending, no more spinning it for a perfect narrative. Meghan Markle's biggest lie is about to be exposed for the world to see. Tom Bauer is taking the gloves off. He's exposing everything Meghan and Harry don't want anyone to know. The wedding, the pregnancy, the Soho House connections, and the age discrepancies, it's all coming out. Bauer's not making accusations. He's just laying out the facts. And the facts? They don't lie. But here's where it gets really explosive. For years, internet researchers have questioned the inconsistencies in Meghan's pregnancy photos. And you better believe that Tom Bauer has been following every theory, every hypothesis. The photos that show Meghan's bump magically changing size on the same day, the hospital departure where she was photographed in heels hours after supposedly giving birth. This is the stuff Bauer is diving into, and it's about to be exposed in all its uncomfortable glory. Bauer has said in interviews that there were things about Meghan's personal life he had to hold back in the first book due to British privacy laws. But now, with American publishers on board and American legal standards, the gloves are off. Bauer's been collecting evidence for over 3 years, and now it's his time to strike. One of the biggest questions surrounding Meghan's pregnancy has always been why there were no photos from inside the hospital. After all, if this was such a huge moment for the couple, why did they refuse to share those intimate, raw, and real moments with the world? The answer is far from simple. There's something deeply suspicious about the timing of Meghan's birth announcements, and it's about to come to light. Bauer is meticulously documenting anatomical impossibilities, the strange angles, the way her belly looked in photos that raised more questions than answers. Was Meghan even pregnant at all? Those whispers have only gotten louder, and Bauer is investigating the mounting evidence. He's documenting everything, from the way her pregnancy belly appeared to shift in different photos to the bizarre moments captured on video. Meghan might have thought she could manipulate the media, but now Bauer's digging into the truth. And here's the real kicker. This isn't just about some tabloid rumors, it's about facts. Tom Bauer is documenting discrepancies that are impossible to ignore, and these aren't just opinions. They're based on hard, irrefutable evidence that Meghan can't hide or spin away. But the pregnancy controversies are just the beginning. Now, we're getting into the real bombshells, things that Meghan thought no one would ever uncover. For years, there's been a question hanging over Meghan's head. How old is she? Really? Official records say she was born in 1981, but there are earlier interviews, IMDb listings, and casting records that list completely different birth years. Some say 1978. Some say 1979. It's a mystery that no one has ever been able to unravel, until now. Why does this matter? In Hollywood, age is everything. A struggling actress in her late 20s has a completely different future than one in her mid-30s. If you're trying to break into Hollywood, shaving a few years off can make all the difference in the world. Tom Bauer has tracked down the records most people don't have access to. School enrollment documents, early casting sheets, agency records before they were scrubbed clean. Bauer's been piecing it all together, and the results are staggering. The timeline simply doesn't add up. Meghan's been lying about her age for years, and Bauer's not afraid to expose the truth. But Bauer isn't just investigating the obvious stuff. He's also looking into Meghan's time before Harry. The Soho House connection, the yacht rumors. Tom Bauer is digging into the life Meghan had long before she became a duchess. There have been pictures circulating of Meghan at exclusive events with older wealthy men long before she met Prince Harry. And Bauer's not buying the narrative that she was just an innocent actress trying to make a name for herself. For years, people have speculated about the yacht photos, the ones that allegedly show Meghan with wealthy older men. Bauer has spoken to those who were there, those who saw what really happened. While some of the photos might have been misidentified by internet researchers, the pattern remains. Meghan was living a life that didn't match up with her public persona. She wasn't the struggling actress she claimed to be, and that's the part Bauer is going to expose. But here's where things get even darker. If you've been paying attention to the press over the last few years, you've seen Meghan's reaction to the Piers Morgan photos. When Piers showed those images of Meghan at exclusive events before Harry, the world was left with more questions than answers. And Meghan's response? Silence. No lawsuits, no complaints, no public denials. Instead, she kept quiet, letting the speculation run wild. And that's a major red flag for Tom Bauer. For him, Meghan's silence is evidence. Evidence that there's something she's hiding, and he's determined to find out what. This strategic silence doesn't add up, and Bauer is uncovering what lies behind it. He's spoken to people who knew Meghan back then, who saw the things that no one else was privy to. And guess what? Those people are ready to talk now. NDAs don't last forever, and Bauer's been collecting their stories. Everything Meghan thought she could bury is about to come out, and it's going to leave her with nowhere to hide. Then we have the jam scandal. You thought it was over when Meghan's sold-out jam was trending on social media, right? Think again. Tom Bauer dug deep into the actual sales numbers, and what he found was absolutely shocking. Meghan's sold-out jam wasn't sold out at all. In fact, she was sitting on millions of dollars worth of unsold stock, just rotting away in warehouses. The jam that Meghan pretended sold out was nothing more than a PR stunt, a carefully crafted illusion to hide the truth. But Tom Bauer knows better. He's got the real sales data, the numbers that show a complete failure. Meghan claimed her gems were flying off the shelves, but the reality is far worse. He's documenting every single aspect of the disaster, how much product was left unsold, how the numbers don't add up, and how Meghan was caught in her own lie. And it's not just the jam. Meghan's entire business strategy has been one big scam, from her overpriced subscription boxes to the faulty products that no one wanted. Tom Bauer has it all, and it's about to be exposed in stunning detail. As if the jam disaster wasn't enough, Meghan's big business flop is just the tip of the iceberg. The real truth about her finances is about to come out, and it's not pretty. From failed ventures to questionable charities, Meghan's empire is built on lies, and Tom Bauer is here to tear it all down. Every mistake, every business failure, every scandal, it's all part of the unraveling of Meghan Markle's public persona.